What does it mean when something is beyond us? What comes to your mind? Is it a physical thing, like looking up at space or admiring a grand view of a national park? Is it emotional, like an inability to cope with certain feelings and experiences? Is it intellectual, like an inability to understand the logic behind a concept or motive or idea? These are just some examples, but there are a lot of ways to interpret and apply this concept. But what's really important from any way that you experience it is what you do with it afterwards. What's important is being able to learn, be vulnerable, be present, and grow from it. Welcome to Brushstrokes and Bookmarks, a series that combines books, painting, and mental health and therapy all into one. We go through a therapy, social work, self-help book together, chapter by chapter, discussing ideas, asking questions, sharing resources, and learning together while painting together. If you're not into painting, take these 30 or so minutes to listen while you do one of your own hobbies, or maybe it's something to play on your drive somewhere. Whatever you decide to do, I'm glad to have you here. Today we'll be going over chapter 4, Places We Go When It's Beyond Us. If you want to go grab stuff to paint along or start another hobby or grab a notebook, feel free to pause. As with every chapter, I won't be able to go over every point in the chapter, but I'll be going over more of what stood out to me and felt important. And of course, in book club fashion, please comment and discuss what things stood out to you, your thoughts on the chapter, and any links or resources that you think are relevant that you would like to share. I do want to emphasize that when it comes to mental health and therapy, it is highly individualized. I come from a very person-centered approach where, although there's a lot of research and evidence that comes along with therapeutic interventions, an individual's identity, influences, values, environment, and goals require personalized approaches that suit their circumstances. So with these videos and content, I want to give a disclaimer to make it absolutely clear that this is not me as a therapist or social worker telling you what to do or giving official therapeutic advice for you and your situation. I want to share ideas, concepts, and skills to think about. Hopefully introduce something new into your world. Not that I'll be sharing anything revolutionary or groundbreaking here, but you never know what barriers prevent people from accessing help, and shouldn't assume someone's basis of knowledge. And I really want to help in removing and lowering barriers that restrict access to resources and help that can aid human well-being. I highly encourage going to a therapist or licensed professional for advice and treatment. This is not a replacement or equivalent for that professional help. For the painting today, here's what I'm using if you want to follow along. These will be following the same theme every week in terms of the structure of the painting that I do, but please feel free to use other colors, paint different flowers, or paint something completely different, whatever you want. Before this chapter, I'm going to be painting some dahlias. Pink is going to be the base color for the piece today. I've always loved the look of these flowers and the layers in them. Dahlia spoke to me for this chapter because of the way the flower petals just resemble the vibe of surprises. When I see the spread of the petals, it resembles things like fireworks or confetti shooting out, or I don't know, people popping out from hiding to surprise someone. It just looks like the flower itself is spreading out and saying, ta-da, here I am. There's also something about the combination of this flower and pink that brings me back to feeling the childlike wonder. Maybe it's the relation to my childhood days of playing with Barbies or dressing like princesses and really being into pink, but it seems fitting to me for the chapter. This chapter is all about the kinds of emotions that can arise from the experience of having things go beyond us. Awe, wonder, confusion, curiosity, interest, and surprise. When it comes to awe and wonder, it all feels like being able to feel a connection to something greater than yourself. And not only that, but it's almost like feeling a connection to something greater than yourself with an accompanied feeling of belonging. Both awe-inspiring events and the experiences that leave us filled with wonder often make us feel small compared to our expansive universe. Small, but connected to each other and to the largeness itself. The first thing that comes to mind for me when I reflect on the experience of awe is exactly the illustration that is shown in the chapter, honestly. Every time that I've been able to be still and observe the stars and night sky, specifically when I'm already out in nature and outside of a town or city and away from the lights, I usually get an overwhelming feeling of awe. A feeling where everything just feels so grand and bigger than myself in a way where I can just let it be, while also feeling a sense of gratitude, reverence, and almost existential sense of belonging. Sometimes for me, it can also happen when I see a beautiful sunset on a beach or experience a live concert that just takes my breath away. There can be feelings of awe in spiritual moments, awe in the arts, awe in nature, or awe within a collective effervescence, which is a powerful shared social experience where there's a sense of shared energy or unity and harmony or joy in being emotionally moved while physically being with others, like at concerts or sporting events or movie theaters or religious and cultural rituals and things like that. Awe is to let things be, to observe, to have reverence. This experience personally seems like it leans more towards humility than wonder does, and it seems to show a full appreciation of other people or things without needing anything from it. It actually reminded me of the section earlier in the book that discussed the Freudenfreude, where you share joy in others' joy, just because awe is all about being able to share in that good and almost transcend that moment to just have that joy in it. There's a TED Talk video that I'll link in the description called The Neuroscience of Awe Experiences. One of the points that the speaker, who is a neurologist, discusses is how the experience of awe alters your perception of time, which I thought was really interesting, and that awe is the antidote for the feeling of time starvation, where the feeling and experience of awe actually makes time feel more plentiful and more expansive. The transcendent nature of the experience of awe is absolutely fascinating to me. In that same TED Talk, the speaker also shows how self-transcendent awe is as an emotion. The quote she uses in one of her slides is, "Awe makes us forget where we end and where the world begins." Awe literally decreases activity in your parietal lobe, which is part of the brain's GPS of your sense of self, so that you can achieve a greater connectedness and helps to give that more transcendent spiritual belonging and thinking into something greater than yourself. Now, what's different about wonder is that it makes us want to understand. It also seems to lean more towards admiration. Like we learned in this book earlier, admiration is when we feel inspired and have a want to grow from whatever it is that is inspiring us. For example, personally, when I walk through an art museum, I feel a sense of wonder. I admire, enjoy, and celebrate the amazing artwork. And then I also get curious on how it works and how to do it and how to improve myself in that area. It also inspires me to grow and learn. It can be experienced in so many different ways, in nature, in music, in literature, in social connection, and so on. Wonder fuels passion for exploration, learning, curiosity, and adventure. It brings a spark and motivation for change and growth through feeling admiration and inspiration from something bigger than yourself. It's something that helps to spark passions and purpose. One part about confusion, the next emotion in the chapter, is that it is essentially just a motivator to learn more. It's an emotion and feeling that can teeter-totter on being uncomfortable and frustrating, or be uncomfortable and engaging. One of the quotes in the book says, in an article in Fast Company, Mary Slaughter and David Rock with the Neuro Leadership Institute write, "To be effective, learning needs to be effortful." That's not to say that anything that makes learning easier is counterproductive, or that all unpleasant learning is effective. The key here is desirable difficulty. The same way you feel a muscle burn when it's being strengthened, the brain needs to feel some discomfort when it's learning. Your mind might hurt for a while, but that's a good thing. Comfortable learning environments rarely lead to deep learning. This part on confusion reminded me again about the window of tolerance, a topic that we've discussed previously in another video, but I think is relevant again here. As a refresher, the window of tolerance is basically a model to show that there is a certain threshold for where we feel calm, cool, and collected and comfortable. But too much outside that window is where we find either our hypoarousal, which is the freeze, fawn, or shutting down response, and hyperarousal, our fight, flight, or flooded and overloaded response. So outside this window of tolerance is where we go to those unhealthy coping habits. This concept, I think, is very relatable to what the author describes as desirable difficulty and the zone of optimal confusion. The reason why is because the goal with the window of tolerance is to not only detect where your zone of comfort and tolerance is, but it is to also help in widening that window or increasing that comfort threshold. And the only way to do that is to build resilience and overcome uncomfortable things. So really that zone of optimal confusion can be found on the edge of this window of tolerance that aids in making the window wider. But also because it is on the edge, too much confusion can lead to frustration and maybe topple over into that hypo or hyper arousal if you're not careful. Using that zone of optimal confusion is just one strategy in widening that window of tolerance, but is definitely good to be aware of. But as I was reading, it seemed like confusion and curiosity were actually very close. curiosity can be a trait, something that is a part of you as a person or with your personality, or it can be as a state, something that you experience at a certain point in time or because of an experience. Something that resonates with me in the field of therapy is this value of curiosity. Before I learned any sort of intervention or modality or evidence-based strategy for therapy, one of the very first concepts that was taught to me in my first therapy course in my master's program was curiosity. One of the very first skills that my professor was so passionate about, and honestly every professor was passionate about, was being able to be curious. To be curious about people, their stories, where feelings come from, how they affect them, what their world looks like, and so on. To be curious is one of the most useful tools in being an active listener, and such a non-obvious way to demonstrate empathy even. Because to genuinely be curious about someone and their story is to show that you care about them and what they have to say and where they come from. And that you want to know them and what they have to say. It's a way to try to step into their world and walk with them on their journey. So at least as far as relationships go, be curious. It's a simple way to not only build, but also maintain connection. But even outside of social connection and relationships, curiosity is a great internal tool as well to push towards learning. What's important about this perspective is that it means we have to have some level of knowledge or awareness before we can become curious. We aren't curious about something we are unaware of or know nothing about. This has huge implications for education. Lowenstein explains that simply encouraging people to ask questions doesn't go very far towards stimulating curiosity. He writes, to induce curiosity about a particular topic, it may be necessary to prime the pump, to use intriguing information to get folks interested so they become more curious, and to create opportunities for exposure to new ideas and experiences. Choosing to be curious is choosing to be vulnerable because it requires us to surrender to uncertainty. We have to ask questions, admit to not knowing, risk being told that we shouldn't be asking, and sometimes make discoveries that lead to discomfort. Since being curious requires some level of admittance of not knowing or being aware of a gap of knowledge, it is inherently a vulnerable thing, and in that way can also display humility. But going down the same path can also show courage. I think that genuine curiosity can be a sign of security and self-esteem as well, or at least can be a way to build more security and self-esteem. The author states that surprise is the shortest duration emotion, but is an amplifier. So the emotion of surprise tends to last for a few seconds to process an unexpected thing, and then is followed by another emotion from the processed event or experience and is amplified. Maybe this is why there seems to be such a dichotomy with the hate and love that people have for surprises. Or at least I tend to hear people only really hate or really love surprises. Or maybe it's that I hear people really struggle with experiencing surprises or really thrive with experiencing surprises. But I don't know a whole lot on this emotion. I'd love to hear what you think more on this one in particular. This chapter reminds me a little bit of my mom, where Sometimes if she is really stressed or anxious about the ending of a TV show or a movie, she will fast forward to watch the ending or ending of a plot point in order to go back and enjoy the whole thing without having to watch it all stressed. It also makes me think of how I experience surprises. I think of how I absolutely hate getting scared. I can't handle scary movies for a few reasons, but one of the biggest is because I literally can't handle jump scares or the possibility of them. The scared, anxious, and frightened feeling from that kind of surprise gets so amplified that it absolutely wrecks me. I think it is also interesting how surprise can be similar with unexpectedness. When it comes to people surprising other people, expectations play a really big role. It seems that if expectations are higher the amplified feeling is going to be after surprise. The experience of surprise is just a very preceding experience and emotion for other emotions, it seems like. So, what are the takeaways here in this chapter? First, I think is that awe and wonder don't have to be rare experiences. I think that with the vastness and greatness that often comes to mind with experiencing these things, it doesn't always have to be rare. In fact, they should be experiences that can often happen in smaller and more continuous ways. And sometimes I think that's why the practice of gratitude can be so important, because it helps to get you into that mindset for feeling awe and wonder. It can be in embracing the sunrise, admiring the work in historical museums, lingering on the vibrant colors and feathers of a bird or some animal, or fully immersing yourself in moving music. Something else that can help is what is called awe walks. Similar to your typical hot girl mental health walk, awe walks can be another way to do that, where you intentionally go out into the world to be mindful, to notice the small things, to look for awe and not just wait for it to happen to you, and go see what makes you curious outside. Take some time from looking at your screen and try to focus your full attention on what's around you on your walk. Another takeaway from this chapter can be to let yourself be curious. Let yourself learn and let others see what you don't know. You'll learn faster this way anyways. Let yourself ask questions and dive deeper on the things going on around you. And especially get curious about the people who are close to you. Engage in what they are saying, dive into the details of their stories, and learn from them too. Everyone has something that they can learn from everyone. This is our painting result. As you can see, I changed up the background again because it takes me a while to get happy with it. But I love how the dahlias turned out, and I love the pinks in there. And again, I think that the shape of the flowers and color of the painting really resembles the vibe of surprise, as well as that childlike wonder and interest. Leave a comment, question, or to start a discussion below. Let me know what stood out to you. I'd love to hear your thoughts, any tools or quotes or things that really resonated with you, whether it's about the book, the art, what you made or did during this episode, or other resources that you have. And of course, I'll have links to the techniques and concepts that I mentioned today. And just a reminder, I have another project that started up now, It's a monthly art mail club called Brushstrokes and Breakthroughs. Similar name to this book club series because once a month I will be mailing a small art print from this book club series, along with a sticker, bookmark, and a letter that is mental health, therapy, and social work related. So if you want an art print of these paintings from the series, they will be exclusively sold to those monthly mail club members in that membership so that I can give you guys a discounted price on art and also use a portion of that money to give it away to better causes. Because a portion of the proceeds will be set aside to go towards charity to keep passing it forward. Signups will be through Patreon and are currently open. Check the link in the description or in my bio, or you can go to Patreon and search Tainui Style there. That's where you can also have a say as to where to donate the proceeds from the mail club. But thanks for hanging out, and next time we'll go into chapter 5. Places we go when things aren't what they seem. Amusement, bittersweetness, nostalgia, cognitive dissonance, paradox, irony, sarcasm. And I'll see you then.